Hello racers! Welcome back! Today we will be talking about Secrets of Power meta. We will try to go over every single archetype we have right now, go through the leaders you can pick, and guide you on what we think are the choices to go to the meta that I think will be really open. And there is a lot of decks and a lot of variants you can play. So let's start with our favorite archetype and the ones we played the most. So red-green hero aggro.
Yeah, so first we have the red-green hero, and I would say both of those decks are gonna be super solid in the new set. Both are getting really good support. In case of Hantu, it's Amidala. In case of Sabine, it's Jar Jar. Plus, like right now, it will be Yellow Lightsaber on her flip turn. That combination is super deadly. And there are a few more tools like Karis Namek. These are red aggro decks, so Karis fits here perfectly well. And honestly, those cards are enough. And there are a few more alternatives which could also see play in those decks, but overall, both are going to be solid. If you're looking for more straightforward approach, play Sabine. She's like by far like definitely more aggressive than Hantu. And if you are looking for something that has a little bit more very like options to play differently, has maybe an option to play more a little bit for value in specific matchups, then pick Hantu ECL. Like I mentioned, both are gonna be solid probably in the new meta.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is one of the aspects that got something that they were missing, and I think both will be really prevalent. And when we are going further into the list, you will always need to count if the deck can beat Sabine or Han. Next, let's talk about the other aggressive archetype, which is yellow-red hero. So these are mostly a space aggro decks. They were different throughout the sets, but those three leaders, Sabine, Lando, and Cassian, can utilize this strategy pretty well. But at the same time, I don't think they got a lot in the newest set, and since they weren't really the best in the last set, uh, they will still struggle in the meta. If you really want to play this archetype, I would probably still play Sabine, because she can push a lot of damage with her ability and close games that are otherwise really hard to win, because these archetypes sometimes struggle when they get their boards clear, and Sabine can overcome it with damage from her ability. But I wouldn't really put time and effort into uh, learning to learn to play those archetype in the set, because I don't think they will be really good.
Yeah. Especially like in Cassian case, like Cassian is really cute, but like the problem with him is the fact that he deploys on 6. Like deploying so late into the game makes playing that type of deck like kind of hard. Like there are a lot of matchups where his ability is just not really doing much. So like Beton mentioned, if you want to play aggro, you are better off playing the red-green heroic variation or one of the space options, which we'll cover in a moment.
Yeah, and talking about space options.
Yeah, we have Han 4. I would say, like, out of these 4 options, so Luke, Poe, Kazuda, and Han 4 will be probably the better, like, the best option. I played him both with Tarkin Town and 30 HP. Both versions I feel like are solid, but personally I feel like the 30 HP is the way to go with him for now. Tarkin Town has a few things that can make that can fix some matchups. So Tarkin Town helps you when with like the ECL decks, like blue green heroic decks that can ECL Masterpiece, for instance. With Han 1 who can go play Millennium Turn 1, you can Tarkin Town that to get rid of it. But like from my experience so far, like the 30 HP was giving you way more option to race with the ground decks. And like I mentioned, out of those 4 leaders with the heroic-based aggro decks, I feel like the Han 4 is the best option. Poe and Kazuda are solid just because they are very, very aggressive, and some opponents might not have an answer for them. They're kind of in a similar situation as decks like Sabine Yellow, where they can win by just surprising the opponent with their aggression. But yeah, overall, I would recommend playing Han 4. And there's also Luke. Luke got Cinta, which on paper seems like a huge buff, but overall, the deck still needs to get to that deploy. And a lot of the ships, the fighters that Luke needs to enable his ability are just not quite there. So I wouldn't recommend playing Luke because of that.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think Han for both Tarkin Town and 30 are really good. I'm not exactly sure which one will be better in the end. For now, in our testing, 30 HP was better. And as for Luke, he's just impossible to build. You need to put so many bad cards into the deck that I really don't recommend playing him. So if you really like this archetype, and this I think will be when this archetype will be the strongest, Han 4 is for me the way to go. And speaking of the other space archetype that was really prevalent in the previous sets, we have Vader. Vader is still the only really playable villain space aggro. He got quite a lot of cards, but at the same time, he didn't really get anything that completely changes his playstyle or give him advantage in the matchups that he was struggling into. But still a little bit of safety on 6 resources because of the taxation or wrong ride can help in certain matchups. I wouldn't really recommend this leader if you are an experienced player, but this is one of the leaders that are really good as a starting option because it's extremely cheap to build and it still can perform even into the bigger tournaments. You just need to accept that sometimes you will lose the game on turn 2 if your opponent will, for example, ECL Masterpiece in killing both of your units, or if they right now got one of the most prevalent answers to Vader, which is let's call it war.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, like this deck Vader is very similar in approach to Han 4. So like unless you are starting and you want to pick something that's easier, I would recommend generally to play Han 4 just because he's way more versatile. There are a few nice things about like Vader. Like Garinda is a really nice way to get rid of hyperspace disaster, for instance. But it's not like Han 4 doesn't have answers for those cards as well because he can just play jump communication as well. So Vader doesn't offer much more than Han 4. I guess there is Clone Combat Squadron, but it's still, in my eyes, worse than what Han 4 can give.
Yeah.
And speaking of like archetypes that are pretty easy to play, we have the red-green villainy. Both Boba and Piet are like the more beginner type of decks. Out of those two, probably like the Piet is a little bit the easier option. Both of those decks have very straightforward plan when it comes to game. They want to play, like especially in Piet. In Piet, it's playing turn one play, ramp into big ship, into Devastator, into Barrage, Planetary. That's basically your game plan, and there is not really much of a room to do different things with that leader. And because of that, he's very easy to play. Boba has a little bit more diversity. He has the plot cards, like the Topple the Summit. You need to pick what you want exactly to do. But then again, it's not really super diversified. And so, like, whenever you play those leaders, the decision making will be mostly on the opponent. Just because, like in Piet's case, like his plans, like his game plan is super straightforward, and in Boba's case, the opponent will have to manage the indirects properly. If they do, you might have a really hard time with playing Boba, and if they don't, then you can just win because they didn't place the indirects correctly.
Yeah, I fully agree. There is a saying that some decks are like easy to play, hard to master, and I think in those decks they are easy to play and easy to master. I think the ceiling of these decks are not that high, but at the same floor is really high. So even if you are mediocre or beginning player, you can perform really well with those leaders because they have really powerful plays. But at the same time, when you will get better at the game, you will see that there isn't really a lot of like skill expression in a lot of your games. So those for me are one of the perfect leaders to start the game with. But the longer you play, I think there are leaders that you can get more of as for playing and performance. And next we have the other spectrum of the archetype for me. So leaders that are hard to play, that can have a really low ceiling if you are not piloting them correctly. So from the heroic Tarkin Town decks, previously we mostly had Quinlan that got a lot worse post Force Throw ban. And in the new set, he got a little bit of power. Like Nemec is a really good unit to push damage. I'm not sure if it will be enough to put him again on the map. But in this set, we also got Padme, which is actually a really nice alternative. She, for me, plays a little bit like Cad Bane, but somewhere in the middle of Cad Bane 1-drops and Cad Bane 2-drops, because she can be quite fast, but at the same time, she is a little bit more proactive because she needs to have a unit on the board to really utilize her ability. And differently from Quinlan, she has a really powerful turn 1 plays, which you can then utilize to really get a big advantage throughout the game and just close the game with her flip and using plot cards like the new +3/+0 upgrade, and I think she will be part of the meta. She can struggle into really aggressive archetypes, but she not only gets a lot of value by clearing the board, but she can also put a lot of pressure on your opponent.
Yeah, like overall, I would say both decks are relatively good. I'm not super high on Quinlan. I feel like the force throw suspension hit him super hard, and it's kind of hard to play him. To be honest, I didn't play him at all in the set 6, so I'm not like 100% sure on his power level. Like cards like Sudden Ferocity are really strong potential with him. But overall, I feel like if we are looking at heroic Tarkin Town type of deck, you are better off playing Padme, just because of the quality of turn 1 plays in Padme is just super high. R2 can be, like when he's playing on turn 1, you can discard something, ping the opponent's turn 1 play for 1, do the Tarkin Town. You can open with Bale or Clan Ordo Mandalorian, and then with Odon attack ability, in Ordo case, you show the red card, you disclose the red card to ping something for 1 with Padme's ability. With Bale, you can discard something, ping something again for 1. So like those are really good early enablers for Tarkin Town. And Quinlan sometimes struggled a bit with like getting a really good Tarkin Town early on. Sometimes it required him to like play a unit off curve, which wasn't which is not like the most ideal. And like that's one of the reasons why Force Throw hit him quite a bit, like the suspension of that card. And so we have like those units, and obviously they both play Nemec, so they're both getting support because of that. One thing that I'm not super sure about Padme is that whether it's better to play with Faith in Your Friends or not, So far, I had a little bit more success without playing that card, just because how much it forces you to commit to yellow to make sure that you get the disclose. But I can see also like the Faith in Your Friends version working well. And yeah, I also saw people playing Padme a little bit more for the late game, but I feel like going her the more aggro approach with sudden ferocity and just doing like more aggro approach is, yeah, that's just basically the way to go with her so far.
Yeah, I think the problem with Faith in Your Friend is that you need a lot of, or some of the red cards for Nemec, and then you also need a lot of yellow cards for Faith in Your Friend, so it's really hard to fit both, but maybe there is a certain amount of cards that you can actually play both and be happy with it. And next we have Villain Tempo decks.
Yeah, Villain Temple decks. So a little bit of a counterpart of the Padme and Quinlan with Talzin and Catbane. Catbane is the more aggressive out of those two. The one cost version, like in vast percentages, overtook when it comes to like the Catbane build. There are still some people playing the dead cost version, but I would say with the new set, the one cost version, like the difference between those two approaches got even bigger. The plots are actually quite strong with the Catbane one cost version, because like one of the issues with Catbane one cost previously was that once you were getting to like Catbane flip, it was kind of hard to have efficient rounds resourcing like resource wise when it comes to like spending those resources, because you are opening with obviously double one drop. You have quite a lot of cheap units in the deck, so it was kind of hard to have something to spend your resources on in the later stages of the game. And plot cards are quite good at helping with that. So I would say like that my two favorite cards when it comes to plot with Catbane are Ferocity and Snob. I don't remember the Lurking Snob Fighter, something around those lines, like the 3 mana 2/3 that when played taps a unit. It's a plot card, and also it's an underworld card, so you can play that on the flip turn. You can play one Snob, one Ferocity, double Snob, double Ferocity. You have a lot of options with the Catbane flip, and then you can do the pings with Catbane's ability. So yeah, overall, I would say the one cost version will be still the way to go. Talzin actually got also quite a bit of support with like the Treya's Acolyte, for instance, and there are some other units that are also interesting for her, but she doesn't feel that strong, to be fair. Like I played her quite a bit, and those units are nice, but the issues with the deck are still here. Like the biggest problem I would say are space decks. Thousand Hand like has a really good time when the opponent is playing heavily on the ground. There are a lot of units, so she can get a lot of value from her minus effects and cards like Tyrannus. But when the opponent plays mostly in space, it's way harder to get those good trades. And also the other problem is that there will be probably more, maybe not more, but probably around the same amount of blue-green villainy, which was already a pretty tough matchup for Talzin, especially like post forced throw suspension. Even before, like it wasn't like that great of a matchup, but not many people play that. But I feel like all those things combined will make Talzin probably still more of a niche choice. So yeah, if you are looking at this like villainy tempo style of deck, I would go with the one cost Catbane. Unless you want to play a little bit of a slower approach, then I guess you can go with Talzin.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think the more we tested Talzin, the less new cards we added to her. And even that new 2/4 in the end is not as good, because you had better than one place and you still don't have enough really good force turn one place to cut Krennic out. So for me, Talzin didn't really get a lot. One unit that I'm actually kind of happy that Talzin got is the 3/7 cut that deals 3 damage, because it allows you to be a little bit more proactive on 5, and then you don't require to go 3+2 on 5. And that 3 damage on the undamaged unit with Talzin ability and Talzin flip can kill a 5 HP unit, which is actually something that allows you to regain the board control. But it is a small upgrade, so I think that that didn't really get much better. But CAD 1-drop actually got a lot better. But at the same time, this is a deck that actually is punished a lot by Charismatic, because you can't really kill it like normal 2-drops, because that spy will trade into one of your 1-drops, and then it will be much harder for you to close the game quickly. So even though it got a lot of power, at the same time, it also got hurt into the matchups that were already not the best. So I'm not sure how good he will be in this meta. And next we are having Han. Han 1, so leader that was good almost every single set of the game. And he still will be good in the new set. He also got some upgrades, but he didn't got anything that will redefine him or completely change how you look at the leader. Han Green will still be the best Han, and the deck list will not change drastically. The biggest upgrade for me for the deck is Typho, because additional Sentinel, which also heals you, allows you to really stop aggressive decks, and also allows you to have much safer hand flip, because if you play Typho on 4, then on 5 with this additional you can flip safely, because a lot of decks were stopping Han by ECLing Poe, and it's impossible if you are behind a Sentinel. So this deck, that one single card made this deck a lot safer to play. So I think Han, if you want to play Han 1, the green is the way to go, because blue didn't really got anything. I think Rex would be really good if we didn't have Anakin, which is much better 6-drop. So I think blue will go even more into the obscurity than it was in the previous at the end of the previous set. And red and yellow also didn't really get much. Red got Nemec, but Han can't really utilize him as well. And yellow is in a state that they are just better aggressive decks and they are better tempo decks. So it's in the weird limbo of wanting to be really aggressive, but at the same time can be countered pretty easily.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much with everything you said. There are some other cards that can be tested in Han 1. I saw people playing cards like the Ebon Hawk, which can swing for a lot. You can play that on turn 1, swinging for 5 on like starting from turn 2. So that can be really strong if you can play like a pilot on it. I'm not super big fan of the Ebon Hawk just because of the free HP. You can also go for the Amidala, but I feel like in this deck the Typho is just really good card. There is like an angle to potentially play both Amidala and Typho in the deck, because you can potentially like even tank the damage from Amidala onto the Typho, because like they have the Naboo trait. So there is that. But I would say, yeah, Han Green is gonna be probably still be around.
Yeah. Okay. And next.
Next, there is the blue-green villainy ECL type of deck. So here, like the primary deck that was utilized the ECL is Saxon, and Saxon will be for sure still here. The emergency power is a really good card for the deck, and emergency power on its own makes playing Axe back in the deck the solid choice. Axe was included in Saxon builds at the start of the Legends, but then we kind of quickly realized that the fact that when Axe loses his shield, the fact that he becomes a 2/2 after that makes him super easy to take out. So in later iterations of the Saxon, he was removed, but now with emergency power, with the combination of those two cards, you can buff Axe to like 12/12, 15/15. Like those are possible numbers, but even like giving him +6/+6, so like 3 experience tokens equal +6/+6 on Axe, like that's already a massive buff. And the emergency power on its own fixes Saxon's aggro weakness. Like Saxon sometimes struggle against the aggro matchups, and emergency power actually helps with that quite well. He still like can lose against them for sure. It's not like an auto win, especially because decks like Sabine are also getting the support, but it got a little bit better. And there's also Jabba, which seems cute with the ECL. The fact that post flip you can do some nasty things seems super good on paper. But first of all, his stat line after he flips is not super impressive. Also, his ability before he flips is not that useful. It becomes better as the game progresses, as there are more damaged units, as like generally units are getting like better and better when it comes to like their stats as the game progresses. Then his ability becomes better alongside that. But in constructed, especially, like the games tend to be too fast. So yeah, I would definitely recommend playing Saxon if you are looking to play this like ECL blue green villainy type of deck. Jabba is like nice with like the synergies with him, but it's a little bit it's not basically not enough of a payoff. Like a little bit too clunky.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think Saxon, that one card actually makes him, it fixes some of the metas that he was struggling into. So I think he may be more prevalent in the meta than he was. And Jabba, as you said, it's really fun. Like ECLing Vader killing 3 things sounds insane, but at the same time you are compensating with a weak ability and the leader that only pushes to power. And the biggest problem with Jabba is that his true power is only when Jabba is deployed. And if your opponent kills him, the deck loses a lot of its like power, basically a lot of power, which makes the deck really easy target. So I think before rotation, I wouldn't really try to build around Jabba, but it is something that post rotation may be something really fun to do. And next we have a blue-red hero, and we don't have any new additions to the leaders, so we have Anakin and Han 2, but both of them got stronger in the set in different ways. Anakin, I think, is the leader that will benefit the most out of Charismatic. It's actually insane how good it is in Anakin. If you have initiative and played it on turn 1, there is really nothing your opponent can do on the ground to get any advantage. It will probably kill their turn 1 play and turn 2 play for basically free. So Anakin got much better. The big problem with Anakin is that this is basically the only upgrade he got. Even though it's a massive one, it's still only Nemec. Because the other cards, like you got a little bit more answers to space, like with Coronet and the 2/3 official that restores 2. But I don't think it's enough to really change the way he was playing. I think he will be more played than he was because he really wasn't played that much, and that single power turn 1 play can put him on the map more. And as in the case for Han 2, he really didn't got much. I know people are really hyped for aggressive negotiations. I actually don't like the card that much. I think it's okay, but you can't really play a lot of them. And this deck didn't really struggle with, like he didn't really need that finishing potential, especially that you still could have just played Blaster in the deck because most of the units are on the ground. And if you didn't go Kiadi, Blaster is basically better than aggressive negotiations The only card that I'm actually really happy for hand 2 that he got is Rex, because 5 mana 7/5 Sentinel can really stop a lot of aggressive decks and can be really hard for your opponent to race against, because 7 damage is just a massive body. So those decks didn't really get a lot, but they were really powerful last set, and they still will be powerful this set.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a different view on that. Like, I would say Anakin got significantly more than the Hantu. So first of all, like, Anakin already in the Legends of the Force, like in that set, like post Force Row suspension, he was going down and down in popularity, and at the very end of the set, not many people played him, and Hunt to Blue still was around, and he was still like one of the top decks. And right now, with the new set, I would say Anakin got more support than Hantu. You mentioned Namek. I would say like both of those decks are probably gonna play Namek, even though like it's kind of synergistic with like the Force. I don't think that's enough of an argument to not play that card just because how strong he is. But there are other things that Anakin got that are not really utilized by Han as well. Cinta, like even though Cinta, I think Cinta and Aggressive Negotiations are both the two most overrated cards of the set. They're still good. There are still decks that can play them, but I don't think they are like Cinta will help Anakin for sure. And also one of the things that Anakin a little bit struggled with was space previously. And like you mentioned, the Chandrila sponsor, the 2 mana 2/3 with the restore, Coronet, you can call it war, and also hyperspace disaster. There are now way more tools for Anakin to handle the space, and like that was one of the hardest matchups for him. There will be quite a bit of space presence in the new set, so it's kind of hard to in the meta. So it's kind of hard to say how well he'll handle that, because like you need to find the right balance of playing those cards main deck and some of them sideboard. So yeah, it will require a little bit of testing to see what's the good ratio and which leader is better. But to be fair, I would say like both of them are gonna be quite solid choice for the new set.
Yeah, I agree. And next we have the Unity of Purpose decks.
Yeah, Unity of Purpose. So all of those decks are playing pretty much around that one card. So the 6-cost legendary for the mono green, and Unity of Purpose is, in my eyes, not the greatest. Not the like those decks are not the greatest. It's like these decks are basically very straightforward. They're kind of like Piet, Boba, and those decks where it's relatively easy to play them because you have that one win condition, one way of winning. There is not really much room to play for late game with those decks, just because the Unity of Purpose requires you to build around that card. And so it's kind of a game where you play your units and you kind of hope that the opponent doesn't have way to clear board effectively. If they don't, then you just slam Unity of Purpose and you win. And if they do, then you're kind of behind and you probably can't really recover from that state of the game. So Unity of Purpose can be a good deck for, like, again, someone who like starts with the game. I know it's like a little bit of a tricky win condition. It's different from other like ways to play the game, but it's relatively straightforward, I would say, regardless of that. And when it comes to like which leader is the best, I feel like there is no competition. It's Mon Mothma. Rex was played at first, but with the secrets, the fact that Mon Mothma can get the officials from different aspects make her super solid. Playing Palpatine, the villainy Palpatine with the plot in this deck is also a super solid option. You can play that Palpatine on her flip turn, create those 2 spies, and you put all of bodies alongside the droid manufactory. Bale seems like an interesting case because he kind of swarms the board, but I don't think he can handle playing the Unity of Purpose, because this deck like doesn't really necessarily want to resource past 4/5 resources. He just wants to keep flipping Bale. You draw 2 new cards, you discard them to flip Bale, play a plot card, kill your Bale, and do type of playstyle. You can build him with Unity of Purpose, but I feel like if you want to go that route, you are just better off playing Mon Mothma.
Yeah, I fully agree. I still think you can utilize Unity of Purpose in Bale, but more as a 1 or 2 off, but not as a whole strategy. Mon Mothma it will be part of the meta because I think a lot of people really like the explosive. I play one card, I put +30/+30 into my units, but she is not that hard to counter. If your opponent will trade into you, they most likely can get advantage on the board, but you will steal some games with a really explosive turn, and she can be really fun to play because she will utilize cards that not many other leaders play, like 1/5 draw a card officials. So even though I wouldn't recommend playing those decks if you really want to win, but I would recommend if you want to have fun. And next we have Blue-Green Hero, a deck that got a massive power boost in this set, especially Ray. She got a ton of new powerful cards, like Amidala, the 1/4 Sentinel that is getting Sentinel if your opponent attack your base, Typho, is just to name a few. I think she also got a lot of answers that she needed, that she was lacking in the previous set. Like, for example, the 7 mana destroy all the space units. And because of it, and because of the fact that with the Restore, she can go a little bit longer, and this color is a color that I think is one of the best if you go to the later turns. I think she will be much more powerful than she was in the last set. I'm not 100% sure if the upgrades to aggressive decks were not enough to put them on like the similar power level, but I think this is one of the leaders that got the most power. And if you really want like the playstyle of a little bit of slower, more controlly game when you restore a lot and then putting a big units, I think this is one of the best times to pick up Ray. As for Yoda, he got a little better. Like Typho is still a really good, but this deck actually had a good 4 drops. And Amidala is not the best in Yoda because you really wanted to ramp before. So he didn't got as much, but he was powerful enough to top even a big tournaments before. So I still think the Force version of Yoda will be prevalent. And if you really like that playstyle, that going to ramp, Yoda flip, and then slamming Yoda unit for massive heal and completely blowing up the board, I think both of those decks are a really good pickup now.
Yeah, so yeah, like a few things. So like you mentioned that you like Amidala is not a card for Yoda, which I like. I wouldn't say it because like you said that Yoda wants to ramp. Like Yoda wants to ramp on turn 2. So if you ramp on turn 2, you will have 5 resources going to round 3, and then you can play Amidala on 5. So you can play her on curve. Maybe playing something like Traitorous will be the way to go. She's not a force unit, which is like a little bit of a disadvantage with Yoda because you want to get the force for like your force synergies. But yeah, I think she can be included. The Typho, the fact that Typho is a 4 cost, like Beton mentioned, like the competition that slot is already there. Like you've already Chirrut and Internet Warrior, so it's kind of hard to tell what will be the best 4 drop. And even in Typho ends up being the better one. The ones you had already were pretty good, so like it's not like a massive upgrade. And if you like the Typho ends up being the way to go, maybe there is an argument to drop the Force from Yoda. I know, like obviously, like the combo of flipping Yoda, going like getting the Force, playing Yoda Legendary, healing, like that's a really good powerful line, especially like with how quickly this deck can ramp and how fast you can get to that point of the game. But yeah, we'll have kind of to wait and see. And with Ray, like Ray especially, is a good showcase of how like this like of the archetype. Like this archetype really wants to play anti-aggro type of approach. And if meta is really aggro, then leaders like Ray can thrive. But if it's more value oriented, like there are more trading with just good units and decks that that have a good late game, then Ray will not really will not really work that well into the meta, which was kind of the case in the set 5. In like later stages of the set 5, Ray kind of disappeared because there was less aggro, way more value. So that's why kind of Yoda took over. And the question to answer like which one will be better, it's again like if meta will be way more aggro oriented, then I think it will be the Ray. And if it's gonna be like a little bit more value, then Yoda is the better choice when it comes to like the blue green hero type of playstyle.
Yeah.
Next we have the blue green villainy soft control. So yeah, counterpart for the Ray and Yoda. Here we have decks like Kira, which were already played for such a long time that she's been around, and she had her ups and downs, but I feel like she right now is definitely in a pretty solid position. Catbane Plot is a really good option for her. Hyperspace Disaster. There are a few nice cards in the new set, like also the 2-mana 3/3, the Imperial Droid Dark Trooper, something like that. That card is super solid, and so I think when it comes to like the leader to play soft control in Villainy, like Kira is the best choice. Maybe Thrawn. It's kind of hard to tell, to be fair, because like in this stage of the meta, like it's super early with the new set, and control decks tend to be the reactive decks, so they kind of need to see how the meta develops and based on that like pick which leader functions the best. But like early on, it seems like Kira and Thrawn are the best options. Kylo is by far the weakest one out of those four. He has basically counter synergy with like the new set, because like the new set has upgrades that are plot. So with Kylo's ability, you want to discard the upgrades, and plot upgrades are meant to be resourced. So there is the anti synergy with that. So he didn't really got much support. If you look at like the new set with like specifically at the upgrades, all of them are quite bad. Like I don't know if any of them will see competitive play. Like obviously there's Ferocity. Ferocity will be great in aggro decks, but yeah, like you don't want to play this in this deck because it's a plot card. You are better off just playing stuff like Fallen Lightsaber. There are a few more like Unveiled Might, but like overall the quality of upgrades in this set is not super high. So yeah, I would definitely not recommend playing Kylo Data Vault. And there is also the Chancellor Palpatine. Palpatine is an interesting case, and with this one, I personally can see a world where Palpatine ends up being the way to play soft control, but I feel like the problem with him is just he's kind of slow, and like the plot cards are solid, but they're not like super powerful. Like all of those cards, like Catbane, Slimore, the First Light, I don't remember, it's like the ship that ambushes in space with plot that draws a card when it kills something. I think that's what the card does. But all of those are solid, but they are not like super powerful. So I'm a little bit skeptical about the Palpatine, and I kind of suspect that Thrawn and Kira are gonna be the way to play soft control. But like I mentioned at the beginning of this section, control are the decks that kind of need to wait and see how meta develops in order to know what's the best way to tackle the meta.
Yeah, I a little bit disagree. Not with the Kira and Thrawn. I think those will be the most present one. I think even though they didn't get amazing support, Catbane for Kira and Hyperspace Disaster for both of them are enough to get those decks to be better than they were. Kylo didn't get anything, and I don't think he will be played much. But for me, Chancellor Palpatine is useless. I actually don't see any reason to play him. Even with Thrawn, that has amazing ability, the fact that he deploys on 6 is a big liability. And Palpatine not only not only like have any decent ability before flip, because paying mana to draw that one card, even though it seems really good for a control deck, you can only get plot cards that you can't utilize well before flip, because most of them are not that good on their own. And to be honest, 7 mana for a flip with okay stats, and the only thing you get is 3 additional mana to pay for cards that are mediocre, is not enough for me to ever even consider playing him. So I think it may be something that is a really like a hot take, but I think he not only will not perform this set, I think he will not even perform after rotation. Yeah, but with this, let's go to the next Palpatine. And this Palpatine actually got quite a lot of stuff. So this is Palpatine Yellow we're talking about. But even though he got a little bit of power with Tarkin, with the new Thrawn, with fully prepared, the 1 mana
Fully
ambush
operational.
fully operational, he also is a leader that struggles versus aggro the most. And because of how much the aggressive decks got in this set, it may be really hard for Palpatine to see a lot of play, especially at the beginning. I think maybe if aggro decks will become really prevalent at the beginning, then the meta will shift into more anti-aggro stuff. Then there is a moment when you can pick up Palpatine and just steamroll a tournament. But at the start of the meta, I would not really recommend playing him, because it was hard to beat Sabine before, and I think the new version of Sabine, it might even be impossible.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said. Like, Palpatine is one of those leaders that he will always struggle against like aggro decks. Like, that's just the nature of the leader. Like, when you deploy on 8, you can't expect to be strong against aggro. Like, against decks like Sabine, like Palpatine's yellow, because like yellow is like obviously the way to go with him. There are like in the past people played him with blue, and like some other color combination like mono green and such, but yellow is like right now clearly the way to go. And like with yellow, you can try to like hard mulligan for legacy runs, and that those can save you a little bit. But yeah, I like matchup against Sabine will be super hard, and that will hold him back. Maybe the meta develops into like more mid range, more value. Then sure, Palpatine can work in that environment, but not really at the beginning for sure.
Yeah, and lastly,
Yeah, and lastly, we have the hard control. So with hard control, we have actually a few options with this set. So we have Ident Data Vault, which like even though it's a data vault, it plays differently from other blue-green villainy. It plays like the hard control type of playstyle where you just play a removal per round, remove the opponent unit, try to survive till your big threat and overwhelm with opponent with that. So you can go with Ident, but there are also 2 new options which play like the more OG type of colors for hard control, which is like the blue-red villainy, so Kira and Dedra. So in case of Dedra, you can play Colossus and 30 HP. I personally prefer the 30 HP to Colossus. Both have merits to them, so yeah, you can try both. And with Kira, it's the red base with 30 HP. What makes Kira red super like a strong option as a hard control is the Topple the Summit. We've both played quite a bit with the Topple the Summit variation of her, and the deck is actually legit. Like obviously, control like it's gonna be kind of similar as with the soft control. These decks will kind of need and wait and see for the meta to develop to understand like which leader will function the best in the environment. Because maybe let's say with a meta where the 2 HP units are super prevalent and Dedra's ability to either kill them or draw a card can be super beneficial. Maybe we have a meta with which is like super much early game oriented, where having the early super laser blast with Kira flip is what you need. Or maybe it's gonna be none of those things, and then it's gonna be Aiden. Like, it's kind of hard to say, but like hard control definitely has options when it comes to this set.
Yeah, I fully agree. Even though we got a lot of anti-hard control stuff, I think hard control will still be a valid deck to play. Sabine, for most part, may be a really, really hard matchup, but it's not unwinnable. And I personally played quite a lot of Kira in the set, and I think she is not only the most fun to play hard control, because you actually have a little bit more decisions in case when to flip, when to use topple, and then she can finish the game with, because like when you use topple with Kira, you are left with a 7/1 unit, which can actually close the game quite fast. So for me, she is a little bit more enjoying to play against and played with than other hard controls. But I don't think hard control is dead, and I think it will be, even though I think it will be a small part, it will be part of the meta, and your decks will need to be able to handle this playstyle.
Yep.
Yeah, so thanks everybody for watching. In the end, I want to really thank our Patreons. Right now, we are putting 1 or even 2 deck lists a day for almost all the leaders we talk to and more. We are really focusing on bringing as much as possible to variance, so you can pick what decks you are going to play in the set, because I think it will be the most diverse meta we ever had.
Yeah, like the set looks impressive for sure. So yeah, like if you're interested in picking up any of those leaders, you can check out the Patreon with the deck list. I am currently working on the Padme Tarkin Town written guide, so you can check that out as well. And yeah, like in case you are interested in coaching, I still do those. So if you want, just DM me on the Discord and we can schedule a session.
Yeah. Okay. Good night, racers.
See ya, racers.